What's up guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to compare one of the two best mini electric skateboard ever. This is the Tynee Mini 3 and that is the Meepo Mini 3S. So let's see what's the difference and which one is better for you. Let's go.
The Tynee Mini 3 is a $699 electric skateboard, while the Meepo Mini 3S is only at $469. So you should expect that the Tynee Mini 3 will have better specs. But let's see whether the $230 difference is worth it. So the main difference here will be the battery size. Tynee Mini 3 uses a bigger, higher voltage battery that is marketed to go up to 42 km, while the Meepo Mini 3S uses a smaller battery pack that is marketed to go up to 27 km, which should be more than enough for mini electric skateboards. When we did the range test on the Meepo Mini 3S riding at high speeds at around 35 km an hour, we get 21 km, and we get 27 km when riding the Tynee Mini 3 at even higher speeds, pushing up to 45 km an hour. Now talking about speeds, Tynee Mini 3 is marketed to go up to 52 km an hour, while the Meepo Mini 3S is marketed to have 47 km an hour top speed. Between 52 and 47 km an hour is actually not really important. What's important is how fast you can go comfortably without experiencing any speed wobbles. Now with Meepo Mini 3S, we managed to go 35 km an hour with stock settings, which is respectable for mini electric skateboard. But more than that, the board starts to wobble and you will need to tighten the trucks more if you want to push for more speeds. For Tynee Mini 3, out of the box, the trucks is better in handling speeds and we can push up to 45 km an hour comfortably. But Tynee Mini 3 is less nimble and less responsive when it comes to turning. The Meepo Mini 3S on the other hand is more nimble, easier to turn and easier to do kick turn because it is lighter in weight. Because of the bigger battery on the Tynee Mini 3, the board felt a little bit heavy when trying to cuff, and doing kick turn is a little bit harder because it is heavier. But with enough effort and practice, you can make the kick turn work. So both board is great for commuting through tight spaces, but the Meepo Mini 3S is a little bit better in this situation. For the control, Tynee Mini 3 uses a super smooth hobby wing ESC, while the Meepo Mini 3S uses a very aggressive lingy ESC. In terms of acceleration and braking, both board is smooth, but Tynee Mini 3 is smoother in terms of acceleration and easier to handle. The Meepo Mini 3S on the other hand is a little bit aggressive and punchy, but it is very fun to ride if you can master it. The Tynee Mini 3 also has smart turn on feature, which means that you can turn on the board just by using the remote. But the Meepo Mini 3S have push to turn on feature, which means that you need to push the board in order for it to turn on. So in terms of the ESC here, I think Tynee Mini 3 is a little bit better because of the smart turn on feature and also the smoothness of acceleration. But the Meepo Mini 3S is also smooth and it is also fun to ride if you like aggressive acceleration. Now for the design, we like the Meepo Mini 3S more, as the Tynee Mini 3 is just plain black and a little bit dull. The deck on the Meepo Mini 3S is also more comfortable as it is wider. The Tynee Mini 3 deck is also good, but at the end of the kicktail it is a little bit narrow, so it will make less comfortable for people with big feet. With that being said, the bottom design of the Tynee Mini 3 is way better as it uses a single enclosure that is claimed to be waterproof. We did a deep water puddle test so you don't have to, and after a week, the board is still working with no issues. Now don't try this on the Meepo Mini 3S, as Meepo didn't claim it to be water resistant or waterproof, and we actually had issues with water with our previous Meepo boards like the Meepo Hurricane and Meepo V4S. With that being said, the Meepo Mini 3S should be able to handle some light rains and also small water puddles, but not to the extent of Tynee Mini 3. So for conclusion, let us ask these two non-professional trolls and let us see which board do they prefer. Let's go.
Hello, I prefer the Tynee because the Tynee is fun board to ride, has a smooth acceleration. The kicktail also function, I'm not pro, but I can do kicktail, The braking was smooth. I like the battery, the design, but the design was win at the Meepo. Okay, thanks. The Tynee was stable, easy to control, to handle this board.
For me, I like Meepo, mini board of Meepo, because I have a long leg. At the Tynee, from the front is wide and the last is small. But the Meepo just same from the front and I feel comfortable at this depth. I like this. Okay, stable. I like this because it not mobile. I like carving. This board I like because it support my carving. For me, the Meepo is great mini board. But the Tynee is stable board.
Don't talk too much. The Tynee win.
But the Meepo is not heavy like Tynee. Tynee is heavy. Okay. This is essay, not a script.